It's Helen here from helenmartinonline.com. How are you today? As you can see, I have a very special guest with me, which I'm not sure which way it's appearing on the screen, but I have the wonderful Tim Erway with me today. How are you, Tim?
I am doing fantastic. How are you, Helen?
Good, thank you. Thank you for giving up your time and being with us on live here today. I just wanted to bring Tim on. Tim is somebody that I consider to be one of my mentors. I've learned a lot from Tim. Tim is the co-founder and CEO of a mentorship company called Elite Marketing Pro. And Elite Marketing Pro, guides and helps, network marketers with online tools and strategies and resources to truly build the business, that we want to build in network marketing. So, Tim, thank you for your time and joining me today. I just wanted to, if you could share a bit of your story with us about where you came from and how you came to discover this big wide world of the internet and online marketing and what differences it's made for you in your life, and just sort of exploring a little bit about online marketing and how powerful it can be. But before we get into that, anybody that's joining us live, please say hello to Tim and, send him some likes and loves for joining us today on the screen. Anyone watching the replay, please put the word replay down below so I can connect with you after. But Tim, would you mind just sharing a little bit about you with us and a little bit about your background? Absolutely,
Helen, and I'm glad to be here. Thanks for the invite. It's super fun. I love doing these Facebook Live because you can really screw things up and you can't take it back.
That's right. That's right.
Anyway, so my story, so probably like a lot of your viewers, I started in the entrepreneurship path out of desperation. Actually, let me back up a little bit before that. The seed was planted when I was probably 15 years old, and I had a friend of mine who was a little bit older, who I worked with, a coworker of mine, in fast food nonetheless, who introduced me to the wonderful world of network marketing. And as a result of that, I read several books. You got a book every month as part of the Book of the Month Club or whatever. And one of the books was Think and Grow Rich. The Magic of Thinking Big was another one. And so I got to reading this stuff as kind of being exposed to the network marketing industry. And though I didn't have any success with that particular company, the seed was planted, the seed of entrepreneurship. And I knew at that point that I really wanted something more, something better, something different. And I'd always felt strange, like an outcast. And maybe you can relate, but even early on for me, school sucked. Like I was terrible as a student. In fact, I went and got tested to see if I had learning disabilities at one point. And this was before I don't even think there was such a thing as ADD or ADHD or anything like that. I'm 40 now. So, they didn't really know what to do with me. I couldn't pay attention to anything. I failed pretty much I barely scraped by to get passing grades. And then in high school, I got kicked out of regular high school for disciplinary problems. I couldn't even finish high school at a school where you go for half the day and you work on credits only. It doesn't even matter if you show up for class. If you turn in work, you get enough credits and you graduate, and I still didn't make it. So I was quite the underachiever. In fact, one point in my high school, I remember I had a 0.4 GPA, a 0.4 out of 4.0. So that's pretty darn bad. So needless to say, you don't have to be a great student. You don't have to be even really overly ambitious in order to succeed as an entrepreneur, but you do have to have certain qualities. And so for me, I knew being my own boss, I didn't like authority. I was very horrible about even being self-motivated. So I knew I needed to change that. And so that's how come I got my GED, which stands for Good Enough Diploma. And I tried the college thing for all of about 2 weeks, and then I realized, holy crap, I was a terrible student when I wasn't paying for it. Now I'm paying to go to college, and I still suck. So I decided to drop out of college after going for about 2.5 weeks, and I thought, you know what, I really need discipline. I'm just not going anywhere. So I joined the military, and that actually helped me a lot. I went from being totally an underachiever to really kind of proving to myself by taking on more than I ever had. And really, I needed external validation to feel worthy, to feel good about myself, because I screwed up most of my life up to that point. And so I went the polar opposite of underachiever to overachiever, got qualified as EMT, was a part-time firefighter, got qualified as that, got qualified for CPR and first aid instruction, got qualified to be an instructor for CPR and first aid. So I was in Kodiak, Alaska, learning all these skills, doing all this stuff in my spare time. And what I found at the end of the day, or at the end of my time there rather, was that I still felt unworthy. I felt like a slave to the clock. And I knew that entrepreneurship was really the only thing that was going to give me the kind of freedom and lifestyle that I wanted. So I leave Kodiak, Alaska. I take the trip down to California to start my life as an entrepreneur. And like many of you, it didn't start right away because I still had to support myself. So I had to get a job. And I worked my butt off. It was in sales. I was selling insurance. And I was, making appointments and had no-shows and like all the stuff you've probably dealt with in network marketing. I had that in my job. So not only did I have a job that barely paid the bills, but I was still dealing with rejection. I was still dealing with all that stuff. So I'm like, what am I even doing this for? I might as well be in business for myself. So I made the plunge into, I believe by this point, the third network marketing opportunity. And that company went under by the FTC. I joined another one. That one went out of business. So I tried a few things. Long story endless, got evicted from my crappy one-bedroom apartment with my wife at the time who was pregnant, and my son who I just got custody of, and really was basically homeless for a little while. And fortunately, due to family connections, I was able to get an apartment and have a place to support my new family while I figured out how to make this thing work. And so I put my nose to the grindstone, if you will. I did everything you guys probably have tried in network marketing. I chased friends and family. I had people dodging me. I approached people in lines at grocery stores or fast food or, in line, a bank teller line, in Starbucks lines. I took business cards, stuck them in books. I actually got asked not to do that. I was putting flyers in windowsills. I did it all, like all the stupid stuff that I thought would grow my business. And at the end of the day, what I got was a big old goose egg. I did get, my mom joined me, which was awesome. She felt sorry for me, I think. So I got to sign up in my network marketing business, my mom. And then fast forward, really not having any results, getting a mountain of debt, like so much debt. Again, that I was happy when I moved. And my phone got disconnected because I couldn't get harassing predator phone calls anymore.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So long story endless, learned some skill sets and turned it around. I actually met some people that were using internet marketing strategies to build network marketing businesses. And this was way back in, I want to say 2002. And so I applied some of those same strategies, maybe 2001 even, and started getting some results. And then, just said, you know what, this is a much cooler way for me to build a business. Instead of me chasing people and trying to convince them to join my business, I'm able to actually find people who are coming to me and approaching me wanting to join my business. It was a very different way of looking at things. And then met a gentleman by the name of Mike Dillard who sent me this book that he had just written where he used similar strategies to grow his business. I kind of took the book, threw it on my shelf, and didn't think much of it. And a few months later, he calls me. He's like, "Hey, man, I'm here's my results," and he shared with me his results. I'm like, "Wow, that's pretty cool. I'm going to check out his book." So I did. We ended up partnering. That company did multiple 7 figures, and we kind of went our own separate ways. But since then, it's just been like that's like this as short as I can condense my story. In 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think what sticks out there is obviously. And I feel this, once you feel that there's something more, but it's not easy, but you've got this feeling like residual income, you don't want the 9 to 5, you don't want a boss, you want to be able to do your own thing. And so you're striving for something, you're just not sure you know, what that exactly is. And obviously all those years ago, like, that's really insightful, I think, to get into sort of the online world all those years, you know, ago, because, you know, somebody like myself, I've only been in network marketing for a few years, but we still have the same struggles that you had all those years ago with exhausting your warm market, chasing your family and friends, people not answering your messages, prospecting people in weird places. And it's just not a fun way to grow your business. And, you know, for those of you listening, and hi, Arlene, hi, Louise, you know, thank you for joining us. Please send Tim some likes and loves. You know, it's just that burning, you know, desire that I think, you know, just that keeps you going. And obviously that made a huge difference to you moving into those strategies and the online world. You must have obviously started making some income with that and getting lots of leads and sales. And, you know, is that what eventually turned your life around? Because, I mean, now you've millions of dollars. Like, it's just grown incredibly.
Yeah, absolutely, Helen, and thanks for recognizing that. And really, it does come down to strategy. And back then, it was very different. We didn't have social media.
Yeah.
It was very one-sided. The conversation was me broadcasting my message and really not having any interaction or ability to interact with people until they took a certain action or, you know, requested a phone call or something like that. So yeah, got leads, got sales, but really didn't have the glue that you need in network marketing, because network marketing is and always will be a relationship business. I mean, anyone can crank on a lead generation machine and generate leads. Anyone can do a webinar or a live and close sales. But really, ultimately, what it comes down to is building community. Yeah. And creating a duplicatable system or process that your team can follow. And that's what makes what you're doing, Ellen, and how you're building your business now so much more powerful than what I did, even though I had a lot more impressive numbers by essentially at the time what you'd call spamming.
Yeah, right.
It was legal then. It wasn't called spam. It was just called bulk email.
Right.
But I was able to get some pretty impressive numbers. And it was awesome, but really it was like throwing mud against the wall. And only a few of the people that came into my business through that means ever did anything and got any results. Whereas the way you're doing it, Helen's more strategic, and you're leveraging this channel for an example, like Facebook, in a unique way where you're able to interact and communicate, build community, build relationships, and actually create more glue to what you're doing by educating people first and giving them the opportunity to benefit from learning from you before you ever talk to them, which totally shifts and it completely flips the paradigm of you chasing your prospects on its head. And that's really what attraction marketing is all about. And that's how come you're getting such incredible results. And I'm super impressed. I see on the leaderboards, and it's just really inspiring to see. So awesome work.
Thank you. And my journey with, in the short time frame that it has been, what I have noticed is how important, even building your business online and leveraging the internet and having systems in place, how important community and relationships really is. And the results that I've had in my business that, results in income as well, it's still all about building relationships and helping people and giving value. Now, back in your day, you probably got away with a little bit more than we can get away with now with, being a bit more blunt. We have to be careful online and social media. And I think that's the true power of attraction marketing. What you teach now through your company is really, attracting people to you and not pushing your products out on people. And I think social media, with the availability of it, is that people see it as an easy fix sometimes online. Yeah. But unless you're really doing it in the attraction marketing strategy way, it will work against you the same way as it can, in the traditional way. I feel, and that's what I've experienced.
I could not agree more. Absolutely. And that's the common mistake that I see and you see a lot of network marketers make, is they think, well, I've got social media now, so I can blast my message out to anyone and everyone, and I could ask them to join my Facebook group that I created for my products or my weight loss deal or whatever it is, or I can cold message people and ask them, tell them about my ground floor opportunity or whatever. I get this stuff every day still, and it just doesn't work. And if it does work, you're attracting the wrong kind of people who are going to go out and do the same thing and attract the wrong kind of people who are going to. So ultimately, you're right. It's about really this industry needs to have a more professional image, and that really comes down to you being educated about the concept of attraction marketing, because attraction marketing, the power of it is leading with value, teaching people, educating them on how to actually add value to people's lives, just like you see Helen doing here with this interview. She asked me to share some of my knowledge with you, and I hope, by the way, if you're getting value from this, you'll give me a little like.
Yeah, send some love, guys. Send some love.
If you think Helen's awesome, you'll give her a little heart. I can't do it because I'm not on your page, but I give you hearts myself. But ultimately, this is all about helping people get the results that they want in their lives, and doing that first without ever asking for money or without asking for anything or even wanting anything. It's, look, how can I add value to your life before ever asking for anything in return? And if you can do that for people, the whole entire paradigm shifts, the whole conversation shifts. People, you don't have to convince anyone to work with you. People want to work with you. They want to be around you. They want to be a part of what you're doing, or they want to learn from you. And that's the power, the true power of attraction marketing.
Yeah, and I've experienced that. And just, a bit of background how I came, across Tim and his company. I was one of those struggling network marketers. Now, I had success with network marketing, but you get to a point, even when you have success, if they're not the right people, they fall away anyway. So, you recruit somebody, but 6 or 12 months later, they're gone because they just don't have the vision, or they don't want to do the work. So unless you can almost pre-qualify people to join your business, it's forever. I found it a forever struggling journey. So, I found Elite Marketing Pro in this, buzzword called attraction marketing. It's like, well, what's that all about? But, learning what you teach, and everybody teaches at Elite Marketing Pro with attraction marketing, and actually living and breathing at that now. The only people I'm talking to are people that want to talk to me first. So that's a far more enjoyable journey than going, oh, I wonder if they'd be interested in my business. I wonder if I should approach them. Oh, I'm in the supermarket. Oh, they gave me good service at the restaurant. I wonder if I should pitch them. That it's all consuming when you do it the traditional way, and you've got no idea whether the prospect is going to be any good or any interested in your business or not. Whereas the attraction marketing strategies that you guys teach and that I've put in place, it's a pre-qualified market, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so it makes it much more enjoyable. So what would your tips be, Tim, to somebody who's struggling in network marketing? They're looking at the online world and going, oh, I can use my Facebook page, or I'm struggling, I want to use social media. Or what are some of your tips to be successful online and just, a successful entrepreneur? Because it can be a lonely journey in network marketing, and even, online marketing, to some respects. What are some of the things that you've experienced that you would recommend to somebody else to have in mind or do that might help them be more successful?
So I'll give a couple that just come to mind, and the first one that I always tell people, and this is the least sexy, and it's the one where people go, okay, yeah, what really? Okay, what else? They tend to skip over this part, and I'm a true believer that your inner game is everything. 90% of your results come from what's happening between your ears. And there's a quote by James Allen, the outer condition of a person's life will always be found to be harmoniously related to his or her inner state. Men do not attract that which they desire, but that which they are. And that's almost verbatim, the quote, hopefully. And it was by James Allen. And I've always resonated with that. And I'm a true believer that before anything can happen exterior in your real world, before you can have results that stick. I mean, anyone can have a fluke in success. Anyone can, figure out the loophole of the day to get results. Anyone can game a search engine, or anyone can figure out how to place a tactical ad and get results by cloning somebody else's. But success, real success, lasting success, only comes when you shift what's in here. And that's really the number one thing I'll say, is you've got to get right. You've got to be able to understand what being resourceful is. You've got to be able to deal with failure in a way that's productive and effective, that helps you to launch you to your next success. Most people, when they hit a wall, they get frustrated and they throw their hands in the air and they get stuck and they ask the question, why? And that's the most ineffective question you could ever ask. Instead, what we recommend, what my coach, Blair Dunkley, taught me to ask is, what worked, what didn't work, what might I do differently? And you've worked with Blair as well, Helen. So it's such a more productive way to think that gets you resourceful, gets you out of that stuck of why to, well, what else might I try, into being curious and resourceful. And so that's the first thing, is really understanding that this is a journey. If it were easy and nobody ever met with resistance or challenges, everyone would be rich. But it's a journey, and it requires a certain ability to be adaptable, be resourceful, and be okay with falling down and scraping your knees. And it's not about how hard you fall, it's how quickly you get up and you keep on going, and you really evaluate, what did work. I mean, Helen, your first Facebook Live you did, was it perfect? Did you get a bunch of people on your Facebook Live to join your business?
A big fat zero.
Right? So it's just like anything else. You looked at it, you evaluate it, you go, well, that didn't work. What might I do differently? And you took action, you took consistent action, and progressively your business has continued to grow as a result of you taking consistent action and doing just a few things. It's not doing everything, it's learning a few things. And maybe one really powerful strategy, and this is the second thing I'll share with you after you get this right, is learn one strategy. Learn one strategic marketing approach that works. Not a tactic. There's a difference between a tactic and a strategy. Learn a strategy. A difference between a tactic and a strategy. Placing a Facebook ad, that's a tactic. Right. Learning how to write compelling ad copy that attracts people, that's a strategy. It never goes out of style. It's not a trick of the day or a flavor of the month. It's something that always works. And that's actually the first skill set that I learned, is how do I take what I know about people, and how do I create a compelling message to attract my right type of person that I want to work with? How do I do that in my advertising? How do I do that in my Facebook Lives or my videos? How do I do that in my emails, or whatever strategy you want to use to attract people? And you don't have to do them all. Just one. All you have to really do is learn one strategy really effectively, and that can be a game changer for you. So that's my second thing, is learn one strategic way to attract your ideal perfect prospect that you want to work with, whether it's doing Facebook Lives like Helen does, whether it's doing blogs if you like writing, maybe it's doing, you want to pre-record videos and do YouTube videos. Whatever that strategy is for you, whatever resonates with you, get really freaking good at it. Do it repetitively, consistently, and evaluate your results and make the changes that you need to change to get better and better at it. And you're going to get results. It's like you can't help not getting results if you just truly commit yourself to taking consistent action and learning a skill set that is something that can help people and bring value into their lives. And I'm sure you guys would agree. You're here watching this now. You're listening to this, so you know that Facebook Lives work. You know that doing this strategy is obviously effective because you're here as a result of that. So this is just one example of how this works. And it's also an example of how attraction marketing works. I'm sharing value, Helen's sharing value, you're learning. Hopefully, my wish for you is that you take what you learn here and you put it to use and you implement it. Otherwise, it's just fodder. And it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything until you take action. And that's actually number 3, is be consistent, take action. The only way to freedom, the only way to create growth, the only way to reach your dreams is by taking consistent action. So I'll summarize it the best I can.
Yeah.
Number 1, your inner game is everything. That's 90% of results, because you can learn skills, you can learn strategies only when you've shifted here, only when you're resourceful here, only when you can adapt here. And every result I've ever gotten, every result that Helen's ever gotten started here. Every single one. It started with an idea, and everyone's got ideas. Very few people take those ideas and say, you know what? I'm going to learn the skill, which is number 2, or skills that I need to learn to take this idea and bring it into fruition, to make it real. And that's the second thing, is your skills. And then the third thing is execution, taking action, daily consistent action. So if you do those 3 things, you're going to have results. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing when you get that. And just spend the next couple years, 12, 24 months, doing what most people won't do, and you can spend the rest of your life living like most people can't. And it's pretty freaking awesome.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I was thinking when you were talking earlier, I often remind myself, if I want to have what other people don't have, I've got to do things that other people won't do. And I constantly remind when I'm fighting with myself, well, I don't want to do that, or that's uncomfortable, or I'm not sure, or I'm overwhelmed. I constantly remind myself of that. And I think it's just the consistency, showing up and taking action. But that skill level, I think there's something really important you said there. I talk to a lot of people that are trying to build their business online, and they get stuck because it's so overwhelming. There's a lot to learn sometimes. And I think if you concentrate on, just something like Facebook Lives as an example, what you said before, just do that and get really good at it and start there and do that consistently, then, that might play a part in getting more results. When you try to learn everything at once, I think that's when you can get overwhelmed, because you're taking too much information in and you're not actually taking any action on anything.
Exactly. And gosh, that's such a good point. That feeling of overwhelm is actually an illusion. It's like this. All you have to do to be successful is read all of these books, all of them. Just read all of these books. When the reality is you don't. You pick up one book, you turn to the page where you're at, and you read that sentence that you need to start reading from right now. All you can do right now is take one step, do one thing. And so what is the one thing that you might do specifically right now to move your business forward?
Yeah.
These are questions worth asking. These are questions that get you resourceful, that take you out of overwhelm, because you don't need to do everything. All you need to do is one thing, and you can only do one thing at a time right now effectively. So do that one thing every single day. You might have 3 to 5 things that you do on a daily basis that are related to that one thing. Fine. Do those 3 to 5 things one at a time, every single day consistently, and magically overwhelm disappears.
Yeah. No, that's great. And, just picking up on your comment, Rob, you can get too much information. You absolutely can. And I've been there, and anybody on this journey would probably, relate to that. You get too much information, and that's where, this supposed overwhelm comes in, and you just don't do anything.
Exactly.
So you don't get the success you're looking for. So I'm very mindful of your time. Tim, thank you so much for sharing that with us. That was awesome. I just want to highlight that Tim, with Elite Marketing Pro, it is a community of like-minded people, and, for me, a community of like-minded network marketers, and we're all building our business online through attraction marketing strategies. So anybody listening live or on the replay, if you're not really sure what that word means, attraction marketing, then just put the word training down below, and I'll forward you some free training where you can get started with this concept of, attraction marketing, and how that can help you in your business and help you, grow forward and enjoy the industry again. That's one of the big things for me, is I enjoy this industry again through, what your company has taught me, and, the mentorship that you guys continue to give me. And I will sort of highlight, everybody needs a mentor. And even you, Tim, with all the success that you've had, you have a mentor. So
yes, that's number 4, but it's also number 1.
Yeah.
I'm amending my 3 things.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
This is like, you can't get around having a mentor. Literally, like, you could spend years and years of getting no results and trial and error and fumbling around in the dark, and maybe you'll figure it out on your own eventually if you read enough or whatever. or you could take the shortcut version. And the shortcut version is find somebody who's already gotten the results that you want to get and get their help with getting those same results. Like that's my path. That's what I continue to do. I mentioned I have a mentor right now, and he is actually gracious enough to be able to help Helen as well.
Yeah.
So I have multiple mentors actually. I have a book that's right here. It's called Ultimate Blueprint for Insanely Successful Businesses, for 7-figure businesses, typically that are in hyper growth, 7 and 8 figure businesses. And the gentleman who wrote that's the real rich dad. He's amazing, and he's a mentor. He's a mentor for Fernie. Fernie and my business partner and Matt, my other business partner, are on one of his boards. And so they work with him one-on-one. I just got to spend 4 days with him last week. So he's a mentor. So I have multiple mentors in my life. And that's really, like, if I could say, even beyond all of the other stuff, like, how do you fix your inner game? Get a mentor. How do you learn the skill sets? And how do you learn a strategy for marketing? Find a mentor. Yeah. How do you create the habit of execution every day? Create accountability with a mentor. Yeah. Right? So all of these things go hand in hand with mentorship, and that's kind of the overarching thing that I could say has led to my success more than anything else.
Yeah.
Well, you brought that up. I almost totally forgot that.
Yeah, no, and I'm glad that came into the conversation, because that's probably one of the most powerful things for me over the last year, is the mentorship that I've received from you and other leaders within the Elite Marketing Pro community, is the mentorship. And when I'm feeling stuck and overwhelmed and, you know, things aren't working, you get on a call with your mentor, you just go, what worked, what didn't work, what would you do differently? And then you've got a new strategy for the next month. Like, it just completely shifts, which was your number one. This is what you need to shift, and a mentor can help you achieve the number one, if that makes sense.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
We've had a few of those calls, haven't we?
Yeah, well, for sure. And, you know, one of Tim's mentors that he mentioned is Blair Dunkley. Now, I had Blair Dunkley only on like a fortnight ago. That video is on YouTube and on my website, you know, about the concept of why and how damaging that little word can be, you know, moving forward. So it's the people that you get introduced to. And while I've got the opportunity, Tim, I just want to say thank you very much for your guidance and mentorship that I've received from you. And it's made a massive difference in my journey, in, you know, learning the online world and what I'm achieving, and it's only just beginning. So awesome. Exciting times ahead. I'd just like to acknowledge some of the comments. Louise, fabulous content. Thank you. Joanna, so true. Hi, Joanna. Thank you both for your time and invaluable insights. Overwhelm is definitely a problem. Glad I'm not the only one. I'm sure there's a lot of people that share that with you, but now you've got a strategy to move forward. So I don't want to keep you any longer. Tim, thank you very much for joining me today. Please send Tim some likes and loves and thank him for you know, his valuable time. There is, so the company that Tim is CEO for, Elite Marketing Pro, they're having it's not a conference, what do you call it? As summit.
I would call it the largest event of its kind.
Well, there you go.
It's all this stuff that you're learning about, that you got this little tiny snippet of information about attraction marketing. It's how to execute that. It's how to do that. And it's how to do it, and it's learning the skill sets, the strategies that we just talked about. So it's a huge opportunity to get around like-minded entrepreneurs. Every single time I've gone to an event in my life, every single time I've made one connection, at least one connection. I've learned one skill set. I've had one strategy or one contact as a result that's made me multiples of my investment. I'm one huge believer of going to events. I found mentors through events. I found Blair through an event that I attended. That's how I met Blair. So I'm a huge believer in actually going to events. So the event's called No Excuses Summit. It takes place in June, and I forget the specific date. But if you're interested in that, I'm sure Helen would be happy to send you the information. That'll give us an opportunity to meet in person, and Helen can bring you up and introduce you to me if you care to meet me.
Yeah, definitely. Anybody
if you want to talk to me, tequila. I like Añejo tequila.
He does. I can vouch for that.
and my friend and business partner Fernie Ceballos, who wrote Attraction Marketing Formula, he turned me on. He didn't turn me on to it, but he got me interested in it again. So that's how you extract more wisdom for free from me, is buy me an Añejo. So.
Yeah, it'd be one of the most premier events for network marketers in the world. I would say I went for the first time last year, and it's nothing like I'd ever been to before. And I came home with strategies that I could implement straight away. Now, if I can make the trip from Australia to Vegas to be there, then I'm sure those of you that are closer can make the effort to go there. So if any of you are interested in the information on that event, just put the word event down below, so I can send you the details, and, you know, would be great to meet you in person, you know, at that event. But thank you again, once again, Tim, for your insight and your wisdom, and for sharing that, you know, with the viewers. I really appreciate your time. And thanks for everyone.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks for everyone who's joined us. See ya.
Bye.
Bye. And end.